Okay, are you ready to hear the parable? Okay. Some people thought they were the best, so Jesus put them to the test. He told them a story about two guys, one who did good and one who told lies. The one who did good started to pray. He said, "Thank you, God, that I always obey. I follow the rules and do what's right. I fast and I pray and I'm always polite." He looked around and saw the guy who told lies and told God, "I'm so much better than that guy." He went back home feeling holy and blessed. He thought that he'd won a praying contest. The guy who had told lies also started to pray. He looked down at the ground and started to pray. "Lord, I'm sorry for all of my lying and greed. Your mercy is what I really need." Because he was honest and humble and true, his prayer to the Lord went straight through. God heard his prayer and forgave his sin, and that other guy, he didn't actually win. Because praying to God is not a contest. With God, we don't need to try to be the best. He loves us all and wants to know what's inside our hearts to help us grow. Those who always try to be best will end up on the bottom and not be blessed. But those who are humble and trust in God will be raised up and be part of God's squad.
So let's tell the parable in another way, in a modern day depiction, kind of like Ellie did, translated it for kids, that kind of fits our current times and our local context. So if Jesus were telling this parable to our situation this morning, he might say something like this. Two people walked into Oceanside Community Church to worship. One, a respected leader in the church. So this could be a pastor, a council member, a longtime church member, a core volunteer, a music leader, a person who, always has words from the Lord and people respect. Just insert all the possibilities here. But it's a recognizable person who seems to be doing well and living an obedient life. Okay, so two people walk into Oceanside Community Church to pray. One, a respected leader at the church. And one, a homeless man who just walked out of the bush next to the church, barely sober. The church leader strutted to the front row and thought, "God, I thank you that I haven't struggled like other people during this pandemic. Even people in the church. I've continued to worship, even online, continued to tithe to the church like I've always faithfully done, and to serve you faithfully and still find ways to volunteer. Some have stumbled into bad habits or sins or old vices during this time, but I've been able to keep living good and strong. Did you see all the presents I brought to the Christmas Family Giving Project, Lord? I brought 6 gifts, the most expensive ones I could find. Man, I'm just so glad I'm not like those other sinners in our area, Lord. The ones I pass on the way to church, like those going into the liquor store across the street on Sunday morning, getting together with friends, not following COVID protocols. Or those, living in the streets or in the bush who just can't seem to get their life together. Really, Lord, people are just so lazy sometimes. Most people are barely waking up, and yet I'm here praying and getting ready for church. I just thank you that I'm not like other people. But the homeless man came out of the bush into the church, sat in the back, unnoticed, and quietly knelt and prayed, "God, have mercy on me, a sinner." I tell you the truth that this barely sober homeless man, rather than the church leader, went home right with God. And so you might be thinking, I would never say something like that. I know what a sinner I am. But what do your thoughts say? In the depths of your heart, what do you really think?